There comes a moment in every life when you must look into the mirror of your own soul and ask, who have I become? Not by the judgment of others, not by the applause or rejection of the world, but by the quiet whisper of truth that stirs when the noise of life is silenced. For some, this realization comes through loss. For others, through the exhaustion of chasing what never satisfies. And in that sacred moment, when you feel stripped of everything you thought you needed, there stands before you the most powerful opportunity a human being can receive, the chance to rebuild yourself. To rebuild is to return to your divine center. It is to gather the fragments of your scattered attention and pull them back to their rightful throne, yourself. For too long you have given your energy to opinions, to outcomes, to battles that do not belong to you. You have allowed your emotions to become servants of circumstance rather than masters of direction. But now you are called to a higher order of living, a state where your focus is holy, your mind is disciplined, and your peace is not negotiable. Understand this eternal truth. Emotional detachment is not indifference, it is inner strength. When you detach, you do not abandon love, you purify it. You do not withdraw from life, you rise above its illusions. The person who can remain centered when all else trembles has tapped into the secret of dominion. That calmness you cultivate within is the quiet language of confidence. It declares to the universe, I am no longer moved by what I cannot control. I govern myself. When you begin to focus on yourself, not from vanity, but from vision, you ignite the law of creation. For the mind, like fertile soil, yields only what is planted within it. If your thoughts are scattered upon the affairs of others, your harvest will be confusion. But if your thoughts are fixed upon your own growth, your own clarity, your own becoming, then the harvest will be power, peace, and purpose. Every challenge that confronts you is a summons from the infinite, calling you to grow beyond what you have known. The pain that once frightened you is but the chisel of divinity, shaping you into precision. You are not being destroyed, you are being refined. You are not losing, you are being aligned. When a man or woman discovers their purpose and walks in it daily, life itself rearranges, people sense it, circumstances bend to it. The once restless heart becomes steady, for purpose acts as a compass. It points you away from distraction and back toward destiny. Hey, Brugge, do not fear solitude. The silence you once avoided is the sanctuary of power. Sit with yourself each day and listen, not to the voice of fear, not to the noise of the world, but to the eternal whisper within you that says, you were made for more. To rebuild yourself, you must first believe that nothing outside you holds the key to your transformation. All power, all wisdom, all healing reside within, and when your focus rests upon that divine, center daily, something extraordinary begins to happen. The world no longer dictates who you are. You become the author, the builder, the creator of your own being. Rebuilding yourself is not a single act. It is a sacred practice. Each day, as you withdraw your energy from what weakens you and direct it toward what strengthens you, you reclaim your sovereignty. Your emotions obey your command. Your mind aligns with purpose. Your spirit radiates calm authority. The truth is this: you cannot control the winds of life, but you can master the sail of your focus. Fix it upon yourself, not in selfishness, but in sacred stewardship, and you will find that everything you once pursued begins to flow toward you naturally. There exists a great and misunderstood power within the human soul, the power to remain unmoved while the storms of circumstance rage around you. Most people have never tasted this kind of mastery, for they believe that to feel deeply is to be alive, and to react quickly is to be strong. Yet strength is not found in reaction. Strength is found in restraint. Power does not shout, it rules in silence. Emotional detachment is not a denial of feeling, it is the discipline of direction. It is the art of feeling everything, yet being owned by nothing. To detach is not to turn cold or indifferent. It is to stand in the center of yourself and know that no event, no person, no outcome can shake the foundation of your inner world. The majority of men and women are tossed like dry leaves in the wind of life, blown here and there by the slightest change in fortune, the faintest word of approval or criticism. Their emotions are slaves to the shifting moods of the world. Today they are elated because things seem to go their way. Tomorrow they are broken because they do not. Their peace depends upon conditions, and therefore they never possess it. But the person who has mastered emotional detachment has entered into a higher kingdom of awareness. Such a one does not chase peace, they are peace. Their calmness is not the absence of motion, it is the presence of mastery. They may walk through chaos, yet their spirit remains still. They may face rejection, betrayal, or failure, yet none of these touch the core of their being, for they have learned to separate what happens to them from what happens within them. That separation is the line between bondage and freedom. You must understand that your emotions were never meant to be dictators. They were meant to be messengers. They rise to alert you, to reveal something about your internal state, but they were never meant to sit upon the throne of your decisions. When you allow emotions to govern your choices, you forfeit power. But when you observe them, understand them, and respond from purpose rather than impulse, you begin to rule your inner kingdom with divine authority. To live with emotional detachment is to rise above the tyranny of external validation. You cease to measure your worth by the reaction of others. You no longer bend yourself into shapes to be accepted or understood. You realize that approval is temporary, but integrity is eternal. When your focus rests on the approval of others, your peace will always be at their mercy. But when your focus rests on your inner truth, peace becomes your possession, and no one can take it from you. There is divine wisdom in knowing when to withdraw your emotional investment from what no longer serves your growth. So many remain bound to situations that drain their spirit because they believe attachment equals loyalty. Yet loyalty to that which destroys your peace is not loyalty, it is bondage. The mature soul knows when to release, when to stand back, when to watch with calmness instead of clinging with desperation. Detachment is the wisdom of the strong, for it demands that you trust the unseen order of life. Every attachment that weakens you, every obsession, every fear, every dependency, is a signal that your focus has shifted from your inner source to the outer shadow. Detachment brings that focus home. It calls your power back from the many hands to which you've given it away. The person who can walk away in peace has conquered the need to prove, the urge to possess, and the fear of loss. Such a person is not ruled by outcomes, for they know that true power lies not in controlling circumstances, but in controlling self. You will know you are growing when you can remain calm while being misunderstood. You will know you are mastering yourself when you can wish others well even as they wrong you. You will know you are free when your happiness no longer depends upon being chosen, praised, or recognized. This is the secret of those who achieve great things. They are not distracted by the noise of the world. Their focus remains inward, steady, and sure. Ibrua. Emotional detachment is a spiritual discipline because it demands faith. Faith that you do not need to cling to what is fading. Faith that your value does not diminish when someone fails to see it. Faith that whatever departs your life was never meant to imprison your spirit. Every time you choose stillness instead of reaction, understanding instead of resentment, patience instead of panic, you grow in spiritual stature. You rise above the emotional turbulence of ordinary life and enter the rare air of mastery. Do not misunderstand. Detachment is not a lack of love. In truth, it is a purer form of love. For only the detached can love without trying to possess. Only the free can love without fear. Only the strong can love without losing themselves. When you detach, you allow others to be as they are, and you allow yourself to remain as you are, whole, grounded, and serene. Detachment cleanses love of its impurities, of its demands, of its subtle manipulations. It transforms affection into freedom. There will be times when detachment feels like loss, because you have been conditioned to believe that attachment equals meaning. But as your consciousness expands, you will see that detachment opens a greater space. Space for truth, for wisdom, for divine alignment. You will begin to notice how your energy stabilizes, how clarity replaces confusion, how peace begins to radiate from within you even when the world offers none. In this state, you do not suppress emotion, you observe it. You do not deny feeling, you direct it. You use emotion as a servant of your purpose rather than an enemy of your peace. The fire of passion, when governed by wisdom, becomes power. The river of emotion, when guided by discipline, becomes creation. And the mind that commands its feelings becomes the master of its destiny. The ancients spoke of this inner calm as the mark of true nobility. A calm mind can see truth clearly. A disturbed mind sees only shadows. When you practice emotional detachment, you polish the mirror of your soul until it reflects divine wisdom. You stop reacting to appearances and start responding to essence. You no longer live as a creature of circumstance, but as a creator of destiny. Every day offers you the chance to practice this sacred art. When the world provokes you, remain still. When someone offends you, observe your reaction before you speak. When uncertainty rises, breathe and remind yourself that nothing external has authority over your peace unless you grant it. Each small act of control strengthens your spiritual muscles until peace becomes your natural state. There is a moment of great liberation when you realize that no one can disturb your peace without your consent. That moment marks the birth of true freedom, for in that moment you reclaim the keys to your inner kingdom. You become sovereign once more. You cease to live as a victim of moods, memories, or mistakes. You rise as a conscious being, aware, balanced, unshaken. Emotional detachment, therefore, is not escape from life. It is mastery of it. It allows you to walk through the same world as others, yet remain untouched by its chaos. It makes you light enough to flow, strong enough to endure, and wise enough to choose peace over reaction. It is the crown of the disciplined mind, the signature of the awakened soul, and the path to unshakable freedom. To be detached is to stand firmly in your divine power and declare, I am whole, I am guided, I am unshaken. And from that place, life bends to your calm authority. The storms may roar, but within there is silence, divine, steady, eternal. Within every man and woman lies a sacred law that shapes their destiny as surely as gravity shapes the fall of rain. It is the law of inner attention, the unchanging truth that whatever you consistently focus upon, you give life to. You are not merely a creature of circumstance. You are a builder of worlds. Your thoughts are the blueprints of your reality, and your attention is the power that animates them. Wherever your attention rests, your energy flows, and whatever receives your energy begins to grow. Most people live unaware of this DIV, Ein law. They scatter their attention across countless trivialities, worry, gossip, resentment, the opinions of others, the noise of the world. Their minds are like a mirror reflecting whatever passes before it, never realizing that attention is not meant to be reactive. It is meant to be creative. To focus inwardly, to direct your attention consciously, is to claim mastery over the invisible forces that govern your outer life. The secret of transformation begins and ends with what you allow to occupy the sacred temple of your mind. Understand this eternal principle. You cannot think one thing and live another. You cannot dwell in thoughts of weakness and expect to walk in strength. You cannot feed your mind with fear and hope to harvest courage. The soil of your consciousness is perfectly obedient. It brings forth exactly what is planted within it. Every image you hold, every emotion you dwell upon, every word you repeat in the silence of your own heart, these are seeds. And life, being neutral, simply produces the harvest of your planting. When you begin to direct your inner attention toward your own growth, something profound begins to occur. You withdraw energy from distractions that have diluted your power. You stop giving your strength to the outer world's confusion and turn inward, where all creation begins. To focus on yourself is not selfishness, it is stewardship. It is to remember that you cannot offer light to others if your own lamp is unlit. You cannot elevate the world while your own consciousness remains chained to the trivial. The undisciplined mind is like a wild river. flowing wherever gravity pulls it, often flooding and destroying what lies in its path. But a disciplined mind, trained through attention, becomes like a channeled stream, calm, purposeful, and capable of turning great wheels of creation. The direction of your attention determines the direction of your life. When you fix your focus upon what is noble, constructive, and aligned with purpose, the very cells of your being respond. You begin to feel stronger, clearer, more centered, as though an invisible current is carrying you forward. Many wonder why they work so hard yet advance so little. They imagine that success is a matter of effort alone, not realizing that effort without focused attention is like running without direction. What you pursue with your body but contradict with your thoughts will always elude you. Your inner attention must be unified with your outer actions. When thought, feeling, and purpose move in one direction, nothing can resist their combined power. That alignment is the birthplace of manifestation. To live by the law of inner attention requires vigilance, for the world is filled with thieves of focus. Every notification, every opinion, every fragment of noise is a hand reaching for your awareness. Guard your attention as you would guard your treasure, for it is your treasure. It is the gold with which you purchase your future. The wise. Man does not allow his focus to wander aimlessly. He directs it toward the vision he seeks to create. And with every moment he keeps his gaze steady upon that vision, he magnetizes the people, circumstances, and ideas that make it real. You must also understand that what you resist with intensity, you feed with attention. When you fight against something with hatred or fear, you bind yourself to it. The more you dwell on what you do not want, the more energy you give it in your world. The law of attention knows no morality. It simply amplifies what you fix upon. That is why masters of mind turn their focus toward what they desire to grow, not what they wish to avoid. They replace fear with faith, anger with understanding, complaint with gratitude. In doing so, they rewrite the vibration of their lives. When your attention turns inward, you begin to see that the outer world is only a reflection of your inner condition. The circumstances you face are mirrors showing you the state of your thought. You do not transform by forcing change outside yourself, but by transmuting the patterns within. The outer world bends to the inner one, not the other way around. That is why the ancient sages declared, "As within, so without." When your inner attention becomes ordered, your outer life becomes harmonious. The one who has mastered attention lives deliberately. They rise each day with clarity. Their mind is not a playground for distraction, but a workshop for creation. They use imagination as a sacred tool, seeing their goals as already complete, feeling their reality as already achieved. They understand that thought impregnated with emotion becomes power, and power directed by faith becomes form. Such a person walks through life with quiet confidence, for they know that reality must ultimately conform to the images held steadfastly in the mind. To rebuild yourself through attention, begin by withdrawing your focus from what drains your spirit. Turn away from comparison, from the endless measuring of your worth against others. Your journey is not to outshine anyone, it is to unfold the full measure of your own potential. Every time your mind wanders to what others are doing or thinking, you scatter your energy. Bring it back. Each return is an act of reclamation, your power returning home. I am really then. Cultivate moments of stillness. In stillness, you regain command of your attention. You observe the parade of thoughts passing before you without identifying with them. In that awareness, you realize you are not your thoughts, you are the consciousness that directs them. This revelation is freedom. When you no longer chase every mental impulse, you can choose your focus with precision. That is when the creative process begins. Ebroru. Your inner attention is the channel through which divine intelligence flows. When you focus on higher ideals, gratitude, love, faith, discipline, you open yourself to guidance. Inspiration comes not through effort, but through alignment. The in that is still and directed becomes an instrument of higher wisdom. In this state, you no longer struggle to make things happen. They unfold naturally, drawn to the magnet of your steady focus. The mastery of attention transforms not only your outer life, but your inner experience. Anxiety fades because you no longer feed it with thought. Resentment dissolves because you withdraw your focus from old wounds. Doubt loses its grip because you attend to faith instead of fear. You begin to live with deliberate awareness, choosing your emotional and mental diet as carefully as you would your food. Every moment becomes a sacred decision. What will I feed today? What will I allow to grow within me? Remember this unshakable truth: your attention is creative fire. It burns wherever you direct it. If you feed it to problems, they expand. If you feed it to vision, it becomes reality. Therefore, let your focus be on you, on your growth, your alignment, your inner balance. The outer world is but the echo of your inner vibration. Truly, to live by this law is to step into your divine authorship. You cease drifting and directing. You cease reacting and begin creating. Your life becomes a reflection of intention rather than accident. And as you discipline your attention each day, your energy becomes purified, your mind becomes luminous, and your spirit becomes steady as the sun. The world belongs to those who have mastered their focus. For while others are distracted by noise, the focused soul walks a straight path toward destiny. Each day, withdraw your energy from the transient and place it upon the eternal within you. There lies your power, your peace, and your purpose. Everything you seek outside is waiting for your attention to call it forth from within. There exists in the heart of every great soul a mysterious and unshakable stillness. It is not the stillness of inaction, nor the quiet of fear, but the deep, sacred silence of strength. This silence is not merely the absence of noise, it is the presence of mastery. It is the calm authority of a mind that has conquered itself. For true power does not announce itself with loud declarations or restless striving. It moves quietly, purposefully, and with absolute certainty. Ibrokra. In the modern world, people mistake noise for progress. They confuse movement with advancement and expression with power. They believe that to be loud is to be heard, to be constantly doing is to be productive, to always respond is to be relevant. Yet the great forces of nature, the mountains, the stars, the tides, speak in silence. Their power needs no proclamation. And so it is with the individual who has learned to live from the still center of being. The silence of strength is born when one ceases to chase validation and begins to cultivate understanding. It grows in those who are no longer intoxicated by the world's constant demand for reaction. When you can observe without immediately responding, when you can listen without PL, planning your reply, when you can stand firm while chaos calls your name, then you have entered the temple of true power. Silence becomes not a weakness, but a weapon, sharp, clean, and certain. Ibruri, there is a wisdom that only stillness can teach. Words can instruct the mind, but silence instructs the soul. When you are silent, you allow the deeper intelligence within you to rise. You discover that answers were never missing. They were simply drowned beneath the noise of your own restlessness. The mind that is always speaking cannot receive. The mind that is always reacting cannot perceive. But when you grow still, the divine current of insight begins to flow. You do not chase truth. It finds you because your silence has made you receptive to it. The person who has found peace in silence walks through the world with quiet confidence. They no longer need to prove, persuade, or perform. They have learned that strength is not about overpowering others, but mastering oneself. Their silence unsettles the insecure because it reflects the absence of need. They no longer draw strength from approval, for they have found it in alignment. Their energy does not scatter, it gathers. Their words, when spoken, carry weight, because they emerge from the reservoir of stillness. The great minds and leaders of every age understood this truth. They withdrew from the world not to escape it, but to govern it from within. In their solitude, they refined their thoughts. In their silence, they sharpened their vision. They learned that action without inner alignment is waste, and noise without meaning is vanity. Before they spoke, they listened to the quiet rhythm of their own intuition. And when they return to the world, their words move nations because they carry the vibration of truth born in silence. There is a kind of power that arises only after you have grown weary of unnecessary battles. It comes when you realize that not every conflict deserves your energy. Not every insult requires an answer. Not every misunderstanding must be corrected. The one who remains silent in the face of provocation has learned to choose peace over pride. This silence is not submission, it is supremacy. It is the realization that you do not have to attend every argument to prove your worth. The truth defends itself in time. When you cultivate the silence of strength, you become the calm in the storm. You cease to be pulled by the world's emotional tides. You stop reacting to what others say or do because your sense of identity no longer depends on their behavior. You become like the mountain, steadfast, unmoved by the winds that howl around it. People may not understand your calmness, but that is the nature of mastery. It often confuses those still ruled by chaos. In silence, you also meet yourself. The noise of the world has a way of keeping you from hearing the whisper of your own soul. When you sit alone, without distraction, you begin to feel the pulse of your true nature. You see your thoughts as they are, your fears as they arise, and your power as it awakens. Silence strips away illusion and brings you face to face with the truth of who you are. That confrontation is uncomfortable at first, but it is necessary for transformation. The greatest rebuilding of the self happens not in speech, but in stillness. Hebrew. The silence of strength is not passive. It is the silence of precision, of knowing when to act and when to wait. It is the pause between the inhale and exhale, the stillness before the leap. In this silence, energy is conserved, not wasted. Every word, every action, every movement that emerges from it carries purpose. You no longer scatter your efforts in all directions. You move with intention because you are guided by inner clarity rather than outer pressure. There is also protection in silence. The person who speaks soon reveals their weakness. The one who moves too quickly exposes their uncertainty. But the one who remains still, observant, listening, such a person becomes unreadable, untouchable, sovereign. Their silence shields their plans until the right moment arrives. Their calmness disarms hostility. Their restraint confounds the impatient. In stillness, you hold the upper ground, not through aggression, but through awareness. To cultivate this silence requires discipline. It means turning away from constant distraction, from the endless consumption of noise disguised as information. It means valuing solitude not as loneliness, but as luxury. In the beginning, the mind rebels. It craves stimulation, reaction, validation. But if you persist, the outer noise begins to fade, and a deeper sound emerges, the rhythm of your own consciousness. There, in the quiet, you begin to feel the presence of the infinite. You sense that all true power is not taken. It is received through alignment. The silence of strength also changes how you communicate. Your words become fewer, but heavier with meaning. You no longer speak to be heard, you speak to transform. People begin to listen, not because you are loud, but because your silence before speaking has given your words authority. The quiet person commands respect not through volume, but through vibration. When your silence becomes your foundation, your speech becomes sacred. In your daily life, seek moments of deliberate quiet. Before decisions, be still. Before reactions, breathe. Before judgments, observe. Each pause reclaims energy that would otherwise be lost in impulse. Each moment of silence strengthens your awareness of choice. You begin to act from wisdom rather than emotion, from purpose rather than pressure. This is the essence of mastery, to respond deliberately instead of reacting automatically. The silence of strength transforms relationships as well. You stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You no longer argue with ignorance or wrestle with pettiness. Your peace becomes your statement. Your consistency becomes your proof. The quiet assurance of your presence speaks louder than any defense. Over time, people learn that your silence is not weakness. It is certainty. It says, I know who I am, and I will not lower my vibration to prove it. Ebrewi, in the final sense, silence is communion with your higher self. It is in silence that you align with divine intelligence, that you hear the subtle guidance that never shouts. The noise of the world comes from the mind, the voice of truth comes from the soul, and the soul speaks softly. Only the quieted mind can hear it. When you practice this stillness each day, you will find that strength begins to flow through you like a river of peace. You will no longer seek control, you will be control. This silence, this calm, this unshakable inner quiet is not the end of growth, it is the foundation of all growth. It is the space from which clarity arises, creativity blossoms, and wisdom flows. When you live from that still center, the world may roar, but within you there is peace unbroken. That peace is strength, and that strength is power, the kind of power that does not need to announce itself, because it already is. There are moments in every life when pain arrives like an uninvited guest, silent at first, then consuming, breaking down all the walls you built to protect your comfort. It comes disguised as loss, as betrayal, as disappointment, as failure. You may resist it, fear it, even curse it, but beneath its harshness lies one of life's most profound truths. Pain is not your punishment, it is your purification. It is the alchemy through which the soul evolves from weakness into wisdom, from confusion into clarity, from dependence into divine strength. Every great soul that has walked this earth has walked through fire, not the fire that destroys, but the fire that refines. You cannot be forged into steel while avoiding the heat that melts your impurities. You cannot awaken your higher self while hiding from discomfort. Pain is the teacher that strips away illusion, the sculptor that chisels your spirit into form. What you call suffering, life calls transformation. You must come to understand that pain, when viewed through the lens of higher consciousness, ceases to be the enemy. It becomes the raw material of your rebirth. Most people, when faced with pain, do everything possible to escape it. They run to distraction, to noise, to denial, but escape only delays evolution. The pain that is avoided today returns tomorrow, multiplied. The lesson not learned becomes the cycle not broken. The wound unhealed becomes the pattern repeated. To rise, you must face the fire and allow it to burn away what no longer belongs. Pain, in its purest form, is divine communication. It whispers to you that something within must change, that the old version of you is too small for the destiny awaiting you. It asks for your attention, not your resistance. The moment you stop asking, why me, and begin to ask, what is this trying to teach me, is the moment. NT pain transforms from a curse into a compass. The same event that once broke you now becomes the seed of your expansion. The energy that once brought tears begins to create strength. That is the alchemy of pain, turning what was meant to destroy you into the very force that defines you. The path of transformation is not comfortable because comfort preserves what is. Growth, by its nature, destroys what no longer serves you. When life removes something you thought you needed, it is not cruelty, it is correction. It is the divine hand rearranging your path toward a higher expression of yourself. The person who learns to see pain as a messenger rather than a monster becomes unbreakable. For when pain no longer frightens you, nothing does. Ibruhi, there is a depth of strength that only suffering can reveal. You can read about endurance, speak about faith, imagine resilience, but until life has tested you, you cannot embody them. Pain takes theories and turns them into truth. It introduces you to parts of yourself you never knew existed. You discover patience when nothing happens in your time. You discover courage when every step forward hurts. You discover faith when there is no visible reason to believe. In the crucible of pain, the superficial layers of ego burn away, and what remains is real, raw, indestructible spirit. Many look at the successful and see only their glory. They rarely see the nights those people spent wrestling with doubt, the failures that nearly broke them, the tears that watered their eventual triumph. Behind every light that shines is darkness once endured. You cannot rise to greatness without first descending into struggle, for struggle is the shadow of transformation. Every pain has purpose, but only the conscious see it. Hebrew could transform pain into power. You must stop identifying with it. Do not say, I am broken. Say, I am being rebuilt. Do not say, I am lost. Say, I am being redirected. Words are spells. They define the shape of your consciousness. Speak of pain as a process, not a prison. When you see yourself not as the victim of pain, but as the student of it, you step into your authority. You begin to see that pain is not something happening to you. It is happening for you. It is sculpting you into someone capable of holding greater light, deeper love, and stronger purpose. In the silence of suffering, your soul grows louder. Pain slows you down so that you can hear what you have long ignored. It reveals the attachments you must release, the illusions you must outgrow, the beliefs that keep you small. It calls you to solitude so you can meet your higher self. Pain has a sacred intelligence. It appears precisely where you have refused to change. When you embrace it, when you sit with it and listen, it begins to guide you toward healing. Ibruchi, do not mistake pain for failure. Pain is often the sign that life is expanding you. Just as a seed must break to grow, just as gold must melt to be purified, so must you be stretched, cracked, and reshaped before your greatness can emerge. The universe does not send pain to destroy, it sends it to prepare. What is taken from you makes room for what is meant for you. The door that closes pushes you toward the one that opens. Every loss clears space for a higher gain. Ibruchi, to endure pain consciously is the greatest act of courage. Anyone can suffer unconsciously, but few can suffer with awareness, with the quiet faith that something sacred is unfolding. When you walk through pain with awareness, you no longer waste energy fighting what is. You begin to work with it. You allow it to teach you, strengthen you, refine you. And in time, what once felt unbearable becomes the source of your wisdom and compassion. There is no growth without friction, no revelation without resistance. The caterpillar must struggle within the cocoon to emerge as the butterfly. If you cut the cocoon to ease its struggle, the butterfly dies. Its strength is born in the pressure. So it is with you. The pressure you feel is not your end, it is your beginning. The pain you feel is not punishment, it is preparation. When you surrender to that understanding, suffering loses its sting. Ro-re. The alchemy of pain is the secret of the awakened soul. It is the knowledge that within every wound lies wisdom, within every ending lies renewal, and within every heartbreak lies a higher calling. When life breaks you open, it is only so that more light can enter. When it empties your hands, it is only so they may receive something greater. What looks like destruction is often divine construction in disguise. Ibruchi, and so when pain visits, welcome it as a teacher. Sit with it in stillness and ask, what truth are you revealing? Let it strip away the false. Let it expose the authentic. Let it show you where your power truly lies. For pain is not the darkness. It is the friction that awakens the light within you. When you finally emerge from the other side of suffering, you will not be the same. You will be deeper, wiser, stronger, softer. You will look back and see that every tear was sacred, every wound was wisdom in disguise. You will thank the pain for what it built in you, for the strength to stand alone, the faith to trust the unseen, the clarity to know what truly matters. That is the divine paradox. Pain destroys what is false so that truth may live. The day you realize this, pain loses its power to torment. It becomes a sacred servant of your evolution, a divine force reshaping you into who you were always meant to be. And when you walk through life with that awareness, nothing can break you again, because even your suffering now works for your becoming. There is no force more powerful in the human experience than a clear sense of purpose. Purpose is the invisible compass that directs your every thought, every decision, every step. It is the thread that connects your being to the divine order of existence. Without purpose, life becomes a maze of confusion, a restless chase after fleeting satisfaction, a dance of reaction to the shifting moods of circumstance. But when purpose is discovered, everything changes. The scattered fragments of your energy begin to align. Your path, once uncertain, becomes illuminated from within. To live with purpose is to live with direction. It is to wake each morning with the certainty that your life has meaning beyond the visible. Purpose transforms ordinary moments into sacred assignments. It gives pain a reason, struggle a context, and effort a destination. Without it, even success feels hollow, for achievement without meaning is just motion without soul. But when your actions are rooted in purpose, even the smallest step becomes significant, and every day becomes divine work. Purpose is not found in the noise of the world. It is discovered in the silence of your own spirit. It is not given by others. It is revealed from within. Too many seek it in titles, possessions, or applause, believing that purpose is something external that must be attained. Yet purpose does not live in the outer world. It lives in consciousness. It is the quiet knowing that your existence itself is an expression of the infinite. Your true purpose is not something you get from life. It is what you give to life. Every soul is born with a unique vibration, a distinct pattern of potential. Purpose is the awareness of that vibration and the decision to live in harmony with it. When you walk in purpose, you move in rhythm with your true nature. Life begins to cooperate with you because you are aligned with truth. Opportunities appear not because you chase them, but because they are magnetized by your direction. Purpose is the law of alignment. When you align with what you were created to be, the universe aligns with you. To find your purpose, you must be willing to shed the false layers of identity built by fear and expectation. The world teaches you to conform, to chase safety, reputation, and approval. But purpose often hides beneath the very things you have been taught to ignore. It reveals itself in what makes your heart come alive, in what calls you even when no one is watching, in what you would still do even if no reward were promised. Purpose is not discovered by intellect. It is recognized by intuition. It speaks not to your ambition, but to your soul. Living with purpose does not mean the absence of struggle. It means the presence of meaning within it. The individual guided by purpose can endure storms that would destroy others because they see beyond the immediate. They understand that challenges are not detours. They are refinements. Purpose turns obstacles into instruction, pain into preparation, and delay into divine timing. When your purpose becomes clear, everything that happens either builds you or blesses you, but nothing can break you. Many people drift through life reacting to what happens, living by impulse rather than intention. They chase pleasure, approval, or comfort, only to find themselves empty. Purposeful living is different. It requires discipline. The discipline to say no to what distracts, to choose growth over ease, to focus energy on what aligns with your calling. Discipline in this sense is love for your purpose. It is the daily commitment to honor the reason you are here, even when it demands patience, sacrifice, or solitude. Purpose has a way of simplifying life. When you know what you are here for, you stop scattering energy in 100 directions. You become selective with your time, your thoughts, and your associations. Not every opportunity deserves your attention. Not every invitation deserves your presence. Purpose teaches discernment. It shows you that saying no to what dilutes your energy is saying yes to your destiny. The focused soul accomplishes in a year what the unfocused cannot in a lifetime. There is a sacred fire that burns in those who have found their purpose. You can see it in their eyes, hear it in their words, and feel it in their presence. They do not move like the rest of the world because they are not driven by the outer noise of competition or comparison. They are moved by an inner conviction. Their work is not a means to an end. It is an expression of their being. They do not chase recognition because their fulfillment comes from alignment. The world respects such souls, even when it does not understand them, for purpose radiates authority. Purpose also anchors you against fear. When you know why you are here, uncertainty loses its power. Fear feeds on confusion, but clarity dissolves it. You begin to see that you are not here by accident. You are a deliberate creation, equipped with everything necessary to fulfill your unique assignment. The same intelligence that placed the stars in order placed within you the gifts required for your purpose. Faith in that truth makes you unstoppable. There will be times when your purpose calls you into isolation. Do not mistake that for abandonment. Solitude is often the sacred classroom where purpose is refined, when distractions fall away, when applause fades, and when comfort disappears. What remains is essence. Purpose grows in silence because it requires communion with the infinite. The seed of your mission must first take root in the unseen before it manifests in the visible. What appears as delay is often divine incubation. When you live by purpose, you begin to measure success differently. Success is no longer defined by status, wealth, or approval, but by alignment, by how closely your life reflects your inner truth. A man can be rich yet purposeless, powerful yet lost, praised yet empty. But the individual who walks in purpose, even with little, walks in peace. For peace is the fragrance of purpose fulfilled. Purpose gives your life coherence. It connects your past, present, and future into one meaningful narrative. What once felt random begins to make sense. You see that every hardship was training, every failure was redirection, every disappointment. NT was preparation. The moments that once made you question your worth now reveal your strength. Purpose weaves your experiences into wisdom. There is a spiritual dimension to purpose that transcends the personal. When you live in purpose, you become an instrument of the divine. Your actions are no longer about what you can get, but what you can give. You realize that the highest form of fulfillment is contribution. Every gift you possess was entrusted to you not for self-glorification, but for service. And as you give, you expand. As you serve, you evolve. Purpose transforms existence from survival into significance. To remain aligned with purpose, you must nurture it daily. It is not enough to discover it once. You must recommit to it each morning. The world will always try to pull you back into distraction, comparison, and doubt. Guard your purpose as you would a sacred flame. Feed it with faith, protect it from fear, and keep it burning through action. When you live with such devotion, your purpose begins to move through you effortlessly, like a current of divine energy guiding your steps. In time, you will come to see that purpose is not only your compass, it is your liberation. It frees you from the tyranny of uncertainty and the slavery of opinion. It gives your life direction even in the dark. You no longer chase fulfillment because you become fulfillment. Your very existence becomes a living message that to live with purpose is to live in partnership with the infinite. When a man or woman walks in purpose, even the universe recognizes them. Circumstances bend, doors open, and unseen forces assist their journey. They are not merely living, they are being lived through. Their will and divine will move as one. And in that sacred union, they discover the highest state a human being can attain. Not comfort, not success, but alignment. For when your purpose becomes clear, life itself bows in cooperation. You no longer wander, you walk with intention. You no longer guess, you know. You no longer search for meaning, you embody it. Purpose becomes your compass, your anchor, your light. And from that light, everything else in life finds its rightful place. Faith is the most powerful unseen force available to the human mind. It is the invisible bridge between the world of spirit and the world of form. Without faith, a man walks in darkness, even when surrounded by opportunity. With faith, he walks in light, even when surrounded by adversity. Faith is not wishful thinking. It is the deliberate conviction that what is unseen is more real than what is visible. It is the spiritual substance from which all creation emerges. Every great work, every breakthrough, every transformation in human history began first as a belief, an idea held with such conviction that it had no choice but to manifest. Faith is not a weak hope that things will improve. It is the calm assurance that they already are. It is the confidence of one who knows that the power with thee. and him is greater than any circumstance outside him. The individual who possesses true faith does not beg life for favor. He commands life through alignment with divine law. Faith is mastery of mind, an inner authority that bends reality toward conviction. When a man or woman operates with that awareness, they no longer respond to the world. They create it. Every event in life is a test of faith. The unseen forces of creation are always responding to your inner state, to your belief in yourself and in the infinite intelligence that breathes through all things. When you doubt, you cut the current. When you fear, you short-circuit the power. But when you believe with all your being, when your thought, feeling, and imagination move in harmony toward one direction, you activate the creative machinery of the universe itself. Faith is the key that unlocks the door between potential and reality. You must understand that faith cannot coexist with dependence upon what you see. The visible world is the shadow of the unseen. It is the echo, not the voice. When you look only at circumstances, you live as a slave to appearances. But when you look through circumstances, when you see not with your eyes, but with your inner vision, you rise into dominion. The world bows to those who walk by faith, for they recognize that truth is not determined by evidence, but by consciousness. There are two kinds of faith, passive and active. Passive faith hopes for better days but takes no action. It waits for proof before believing. Active faith, however, acts as if the thing desired were already a reality. It speaks with certainty, moves with confidence, and creates with conviction. Active faith is divine cooperation. It tells the infinite, I am ready, and the infinite responds by moving mountains. When you begin to act in faith, you declare that your trust in the unseen is stronger than your fear of the unknown. The individual who rebuilds himself must become a master of faith. You cannot reconstruct your life with the same thoughts that built your former limitations. Faith must become your foundation, your blueprint, your building material. When all else collapses, faith remains. It is the one possession that cannot be stolen, the one power that cannot be destroyed. Faith transforms defeat into discipline, pain into progress, and uncertainty into understanding. It is the voice within that whispers, there is a way, even when every door appears closed. To develop faith, you must first learn the art of inner stillness. For faith is born not in noise, but in silence. The world shouts with distraction. It magnifies doubt, fear, and confusion. But in the stillness of your soul, you will hear a different voice, the voice of the infinite intelligence that dwells within you. That voice does not argue, it does not beg, it simply knows. To cultivate faith, you must learn to trust that knowing above all else. You must train your mind to obey your inner conviction rather than your out. Faith conditions. Faith grows through practice. Each time you act on belief rather than fear, you strengthen your spiritual muscle. Each time you refuse to surrender to appearance, you deepen your inner authority. Faith is not given fully formed. It is built through daily alignment with divine truth. Begin with small acts of trust. Believe in your ability to change a habit, to rise above a limitation, to heal a wound. As your faith proves itself in these small things, it will expand to encompass greater realms of possibility. The one who believes in his power to change a single thought will soon believe in his power to change the course of destiny. You must also guard your faith from the poison of doubt. Doubt is a thief of energy. It drains your creative power and leaves you spiritually paralyzed. It is not circumstances that stop people. It is disbelief in their own divine ability. Every great dream dies in the soil of doubt. To protect your faith, you must be selective about what you feed your mind. Do not entertain voices that weaken your confidence or environments that reinforce limitation. The mind, like a garden, grows what it receives. If you plant fear, you reap paralysis. If you plant faith, you harvest miracles. Understand this great truth. Faith and fear cannot occupy the same space. One must always drive out the other. You must therefore make faith your daily companion. Speak it, think it, act it. When doubt arises, and it will, Meet it not with resistance, but with remembrance. Remember who you are, a spiritual being clothed in human experience, endowed with creative power. You were not placed on this earth to be a victim of circumstance, but to be a co-creator with the infinite. The energy that fashioned galaxies flows through your very being. When you remember that truth, doubt dissolves like mist before the sun. Faith also demands patience, for divine timing is precise. The seeds you plant in belief do not sprout overnight. Many abandon their vision because the fruit is not immediate. Yet the law of faith is as certain as the law of gravity. What is believed with conviction must eventually manifest. You must trust the process even when it moves slower than your desires. Impatience is the enemy of manifestation. Faith holds steady, knowing that delay is not denial. It understands that the universe arranges things in perfect sequence for your growth. There will be times when your faith is tested to its limits. You will face moments where nothing seems to move, where prayers echo in silence, where results mock your effort. In such times, remember that faith is not proven in ease, but in endurance. The value of faith is revealed only when there is no evidence to support it. When you stand firm in uncertainty, refusing to collapse into fear, you ascend to mastery. That is when your inner power truly awakens. The moment you hold faith in the face of contradiction, you become a vessel through which divine law operates. Hebrew faith is also insep, arable from imagination. Whatever you can vividly imagine and emotionally accept, faith begins to draw into form. Your imagination is the workshop of spirit. It is where thought takes on substance. When you hold a clear image of what you desire and saturate it with faith, you create a spiritual prototype that must eventually appear in the physical world. But the image must be pure, free from doubt, fear, or contradiction. Faith does not waver, it sees only completion. The greatest secret of faith is that it does not beg reality to change. It assumes reality is already changed. It walks as though the promise were fulfilled, speaks as though the outcome were certain, and acts as though the result were inevitable. Such confidence draws unseen power like a magnet. The world rearranges itself to match that vibration. To the outer eye, it appears miraculous. To the eye of faith, it is simply law. Hebrew. You must never forget that the universe is responsive, not resistant. It mirrors back the state of your inner belief. The weak in faith see obstacles. The strong in faith see opportunity. The fearful see endings. The faithful see beginnings. As within, so without. If your inner world is saturated with faith, your outer world must reflect order, progress, and fulfillment. To rebuild yourself, then, is to rebuild your faith. To walk in faith is to walk in partnership with the infinite, to live not as a beggar in a world of scarcity, but as a creator in a universe of abundance. Faith transforms the ordinary into the divine. It lifts the human experience from struggle to significance, from confusion to clarity, from survival to mastery. When your faith becomes unshakable, you no longer chase results. They come to you. You no longer ask if it will happen. You know that it must. For the law is simple and eternal. That which is believed with absolute conviction must manifest in kind. Faith is not only your bridge to destiny, it is destiny itself in motion. And the day you realize that the power within you is the same power that governs the stars, that day you will no longer pray for miracles, for you will have become one. Every human being carries within themselves a power so vast, so intelligent, so divine in its operation that words can barely contain its magnitude. It is the inner power, the invisible essence that breathes life into your being, guides your thoughts, and shapes your destiny. To have faith in this inner power is to awaken the truth of who you are, not a creature tossed about by fate, but a creator endowed with the same spiritual authority that formed the universe. Yet most people live unaware of this force. They live as beggars in a kingdom they already possess. They pray for strength while ignoring the infinite strength that is already pulsing within them. They seek guidance from the world while the divine whisper within them remains unheard. The first revelation in rebuilding yourself is to understand that your true power does not come from without. It it rises from within. No external circumstance, no opinion of man, no event of the world can define or confine it. The same intelligence that holds the stars in balance moves in you as thought, will, and imagination. To believe in your inner power is to believe in the divine order that governs all creation. It is to accept that you are not separate from that order, but an expression of it. You are not merely a child of the universe, you are a channel through which the universe expresses itself. Most individuals fail to access this power because they seek validation from what is transient. They measure their worth by outcomes, by possessions, by approval, and in doing so, they surrender their authority to the changing winds of circumstance. When the world applauds, they feel worthy. When it withdraws, they feel empty. Such dependence keeps the soul asleep. The awakened man, however, knows that his power is not a reward from the world. It is his inheritance from the infinite. He does not seek energy from the outside, he radiates it. He does not chase opportunity, he creates it. He walks with the quiet dignity of one who knows that the source of all creation walks within him. This inner power is not born of arrogance, it is born of alignment. It does not shout, it simply hears. It requires no proving, no defense, no comparison. It moves with silent certainty, like the flow of a mighty river that does not question its direction. When you believe in this inner power, you cease to fight life. You begin to flow with it, trusting that every event is a tool for refinement, every challenge a call to deeper mastery. Even when appearances seem to oppose you, faith in your inner power turns adversity into evolution. You begin to see that what you once called obstacles were simply invitations to express more of what already lives within you. To access this divine force, you must first learn to quiet the mind. The noise of fear, doubt, and worry drowns out the voice of truth. Your inner power speaks not through panic, but through stillness. It waits patiently for your awareness to turn inward. When you still the chaos of the outer world, when you stop identifying with every fleeting emotion, you will hear the whisper of your higher self. It will not plead, it will declare. It will not explain, it will simply know. That knowing is the language of divine intelligence within you, and once you trust it, it will never lead you astray. Faith in the inner power means releasing dependence on appearances. The eyes may see limitation, but the soul knows abundance. The world may declare defeat, but the spirit within you proclaims victory. When you anchor yourself in that truth, external evidence loses its power over you. You are no longer shaken by delay, no longer broken by rejection, no longer distracted by comparison. You realize that all visible results are merely reflections of invisible belief. Therefore, to change your life, you need only change the pattern of why. Our thought, to realign your consciousness with the truth that power resides within. Your inner power is creative by nature. It responds precisely to the images you impress upon it. When you hold a vision of yourself as weak, unlucky, or limited, that vision becomes law to the subconscious mind, and life reflects it faithfully. But when you see yourself as capable, purposeful, and divinely guided, you awaken forces that reshape your reality. Thought, when charged with emotion and belief, becomes a command to the unseen world. The universe is obedient to conviction. Whatever you accept as true about yourself, it must manifest.
First act of faith in your inner power is to guard your mental images, to think only in alignment with what you wish to create. Shibur. Many people misunderstand this principle. They believe that power is attained through struggle, domination, or relentless effort. Yet true power is not force, it is harmony. It does not require strain, it requires understanding. The moment you understand that you and the infinite are not separate, effort transforms into expression. You begin to create effortlessly, not by trying to control the outer world, but by mastering the inner. The outer world is but a mirror. It reflects the state of your consciousness.
When you stand firm in faith, when you know that the creative intelligence of the universe flows through your every thought and action, the mirror must change. Faith in your inner power also requires trust in divine timing. The ego demands immediacy. The spirit moves with precision. When you plant a seed in the soil, you do not dig it up each morning to check its progress. You trust the law of growth. So it is with the seed of faith. The moment you believe and act in alignment with your belief, you have set creation in motion. The results may not appear instantly, but they are unfolding perfectly. Every delay is divine preparation. Every silence is sacred gestation. Impatience is the language of doubt, but calm expectation is the voice of mastery. This inner faith will sometimes demand isolation, for when you begin to trust your inner voice, the world may not understand you. Others will question your choices, your confidence, your calmness in the face of uncertainty. But you must not waver. The path of power often requires solitude, for it is in solitude that you refine your communion with the infinite. You cannot hear the whisper of truth while surrounded by the noise of fear. Therefore, cherish those quiet seasons. They are not punishments. They are initiations. The stronger your connection with the divine within, the less validation you will need from without. When you truly believe in your inner power, your life becomes a statement of faith. You no longer react, you respond. You no longer complain, you create. You no longer seek approval, you radiate certainty. You realize that peace, abundance, and joy are not goals to be reached, but states to be remembered. They already exist within the eternal self, waiting for your recognition. The more you acknowledge them, the more they reveal themselves in your experience. The faith you build in your inner power will also transform your relationship with fear. Fear loses its hold when you recognize that the same intelligence that created you sustains you. You begin to understand that life is never happening to you. It is happening through to you. You are the channel, the vessel, the co-creator of experience. Nothing is outside of divine order, and nothing can truly oppose the power that resides within. When you know this, fear becomes an illusion, and courage becomes your natural state. Your inner power does not seek control, it seeks expression. It wants to create, to expand, to reveal the divine nature through your individuality. Every talent, every desire, every spark of inspiration within you is a calling from that deeper force, urging you to give shape to the unseen. When you follow that call with faith, the universe conspires to support you. Doors open, synchronicities align, and what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. In truth, to believe in your inner power is to awaken the God consciousness within, the realization that you are both creation and creator. This awareness dissolves struggle. It ends the battle between you and life because you finally understand that life and you are not two. The current of divine intelligence that shapes the galaxies is the same current that beats your heart. To live in faith of this truth is to live in harmony with all existence. When a man or woman reaches this state of awareness, they no longer beg the universe for blessings. They become the blessing. Their very presence uplifts, their words heal, their energy transforms. They live not by effort, but by alignment. They move through the world with the calm authority of one who knows that the infinite walks with them, as them, through them. This is the highest expression of faith in the inner power, to know that you and the source are one. And when you walk in that truth, when your faith is unshakable, your focus unwavering, and your heart aligned, you become unstoppable. Circumstances no longer dictate your destiny, for you have remembered the eternal law that the same power which created the stars also resides in you, awaiting your command. Believe in it, trust it, live from it, and you will find that the world itself bends in reverence to the one who has remembered who they are. And so, as you stand at the threshold of your own becoming, remember this eternal truth. You were never meant to live as a shadow of your potential. You were designed as a vessel of divine intelligence, a living expression of purpose, power, and infinite possibility. Life does not ask you to control its winds. It asks you to master your sail. Each day, the world will test your focus, your faith, your purpose, and your ability to remain centered amidst chaos. Yet within you lies the quiet force that governs, and as all transformation, the ability to rebuild, to renew, to rise again, no matter how many times you've fallen. Rebuilding yourself is not a one-time act. It is a sacred devotion. It is the daily decision to choose vision over fear, purpose over distraction, faith over doubt, and inner strength over external validation. The moment you withdraw your power from what drains you and direct it toward what defines you, you begin to experience the miracle of self-mastery. You cease to live reactively and start living creatively. You stop chasing life and start commanding it through alignment with divine law. The journey of rebuilding yourself is the highest act of love you can offer the world. For when you are whole within, you become a light to others. Your calmness becomes strength to the weary. Your clarity becomes guidance to the lost. Your faith becomes evidence of the unseen power working through all of us. The individual who has rebuilt himself in consciousness becomes an instrument of divine will, no longer living from circumstance, but from conviction, no longer swayed by emotion, but moved by purpose. So let your focus return to you. Guard it as sacred. Build yourself each day through discipline, detachment, purpose, and faith. Let the storms come. They will only reveal your strength. Let the world doubt. You will become proof of what belief can do. For when your attention is fixed upon your own divine center, you awaken the truth that has been waiting within you all along, that you are both the builder and the masterpiece, the student and the revelation, the vessel and the light. Rebuild yourself, and you will find that life itself rebuilds around you.